Hello everyone, my name is Chris Nasso and I will be talking about preparing data with SQL as part of my Teach 1 assignment for HAP 725. The first step is learning how to find and download SQL, and I'll show that here. So here, go to a search engine, Microsoft Bing in this case, type in Microsoft SQL install. You scroll down, here's the SQL Server installation guide, click that. You're going to want to click Download SQL Server at the top right. And you're going to scroll down past Azure, Edge, on premises to download a free specialized edition. You can select Developer or Express. I selected Express. Download that now. And you will click Open File here and it will start downloading. One thing to note is that when you select Express, the reason it's free is that if you're a student, you're able to acquire this for free. And so you may have to use your GMU email to log in and download it, but you should be able to log in and download it from there. So the next step is to talk through the problem goal. What we want to do today is we want to learn how to calculate a case mix index for a hospital from classification of its patients into what are known as diagnostic related groupings, which is a payment mechanism under Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. The specific problem we'll be looking at is how to use the provided data set to determine which hospital, A or B, has a higher case mix index. There's three major steps that are involved in this process. First step is for each hospital. We'll calculate the probability of each respective DRG. Step 2, for each hospital, we'll multiply the probability of each DRG occurring by the average length of stay to determine the case mix contribution of each DRG. And in step 3, for each hospital, we'll sum the case mix contribution of all DRGs to determine the case mix index. Alright, for the first step here, what you'll want to do is you'll want to import your data. The file name that I have here is dbo.gmuhap. You can see the rest there. You'll import the data by right-clicking on the right-hand side. Go to Tasks, click Import Data. You'll want to import it as a flat file. You just want to see what's in the data, so you'll select All From, and you see it below. We have DRG, expected length of stay, number of hospital A and number of hospital B. This is the number of cases for each DRG by hospital. What we'll want to do first is we'll want to get a total figure, right? We'll want to get a total figure of all the cases. So we want to know all of the number of cases for the hospital so that we can individually find the probability by DRG among all the cases. We'll alter the table. We'll create those two columns, add total hospital A and total hospital B. I have them as decimals because it makes the calculation easier. Select all. Great. Looks like we have this added. It's listed as null because there's no values yet associated. We just created the column and we just gave it a decimal assignment, but we did not provide it with any values. So now we'll want to find those values, and we'll find those values by summing everything in hospital A to get the total hospital A and summing everything in number of hospital B to get total hospital B. Here's our figure, 3,450 and then 2,810. So now we'll just manually input that into the actual value fields for those columns. So total hospital A is going to be 3,450 and similar for hospital B, 2,810. And we'll add this all into a new file called dbo.new. It's a good practice to just list drop table here. I had the table previously created. If you ever want to redo things, you can always just have this handy in order to redo things as we're doing right now. Okay, So it successfully completed that. Now let's look and see what this new table looks like. We should have those fields filled out. And we do. So total hospital A, total hospital B. It's uniform there. Now we're going to calculate out the probabilities. So we're going to divide number hospital A by the total hospital A, and we'll list that as probability hospital A. And similarly, we'll do the same for B. The new file we'll call is dbo.new1. Again, this has already been created, so I want to drop the file, and now I want to create it again. Okay, and let's see what this one looks like. Perfect. We have our probabilities for each of the hospitals. So again, we just took number hospital A divided by total hospital patient counts and captured the probabilities of each associated diagnosis related group for that hospital. Now we want to find the case mix specific to each hospital by DRG. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the expected length of stay of that given DRG. So we see here heart transplant with MCC has 28.6 length of stay. Heart transplant without MCC has 15.7. They each have their own probabilities for each of the hospitals that are different. So we want to calculate a case mix. How sick, how severe are they based on their length of stay and the probability of that episode of care occurring at that specific hospital. So to do that, we'll multiply expected length of stay by the probability, and we'll list that as the case mix for hospital A, and we'll multiply the expected length of stay by the probability for B, and we'll list that as the DRG case mix for B, and we'll put that into a final table. Again, we'll want to drop this. Okay. Let's see what it looks like. Scroll over, and we have our case mixes. So now we understand the acuity based on the clinical episode and the length of stay associated with that clinical episode, and have that here. We see that for each hospital all the way down. So now the last step is we want to sum the total in this column for hospital A, and we want to sum the total in this column for hospital B to figure out their total case mix figure. And we can just illustrate that very simply here. We're going to sum and list it as that figure, and we're going to sum and list it at that figure. And the result is we have 11.7, so rounded up to 11.8, and we have 3.9 rounded up to 4.0 as the total case mix for each hospital.